So here I have two questions that I put together, and the reason is there's been a lot of reaction to my discussion with the Catholic priest, Father Michael, about homosexuality, and a lot of people writing to me, taking issue with me. Some of them, most of them, being really nice about it, but explaining why they feel that homosexuality is a sin per se. And I'm going to explain my attitude toward this, because a lot of times I feel people get my attitude wrong. They don't actually hear what I actually said. So far, I have found all of their arguments really convincing, in the sense that they can have convinced me of something that I already believed, which is that the center of life is a marriage between a man and a woman that produces a child. That is the center of human existence. That is what all human existence swirls around. Every city we build, every piece of technology is built to protect that essential act that that continues the human race. I really do believe that, but no one has quite convinced me that homosexuality is necessarily a sin per se, that just to be in a homosexual relationship with someone you love is necessarily against God, and certainly is, whether it's some kind of mortal sin, I guess would be the word. So here are two questions that come in that I think are really good questions, and kind of the same question, but both worth hearing. From Adam, dear Mr. Klavan, he writes, because he was making fun of the fact that there are no E's in Klavan, but there is no E's. It's not easy being Klavan. Just remember that. If you feel homosexual sex is permissible to strengthen the bond of love between two men or women, would you say the same for sex between two siblings or a parent and a child who desired an incestuous relationship? And if not, then by what logic or moral authority would you deny it to them? Thanks. Love the show. And the other is from Caleb, who says, Dear King of the Multiverse Klavan, which is, of course, my proper title, as someone who has struggled with pornography, what is the difference between me and someone who is living a homosexual lifestyle? You said that homosexuality was not the intended use of human sexuality, but could serve another purpose in people's lives. My contention is that the same could be said for pornography, which is not the intention of human sexuality, but could also be construed to have a benefit for an individual. So everybody asking, essentially, if I'm okay with gay sex, what is my moral reasoning for not permitting every other thing? And obviously, they're not asking about the obvious ones, like abusing animals or abusing children, where there can't be any consent. Now, my position is, there are two issues here. One is that in terms of religion, and one is in terms of law, right? My position in terms of religion has always been, I simply have no cause to have an opinion about this. I am never going to commit a homosexual act. It's not a desire. I don't have to worry about this. So why am I sitting in church when Jesus has said to me, before you take the mote out of your neighbor's eye, take the plank out of your own eye, when I am purely and completely convinced that there are so many planks in my own eye that I could build a small cabin with them, maybe a large cabin. Why am I worrying about a sin that I will never commit? I mean, I simply don't know why I would. Secondly, because in the case of a loving, committed, lifelong relationship between two people of the same sex, I can't see any harm that is done to society necessarily. Because of that, the only way I could see it being a sin is if it turns you away from God. Now, how would I know if that's what it does? If there's no crime committed, how would I know, since I'm never going to commit it and haven't committed, whether that turns any individual person away from God? I think it's exactly that Jesus is talking about when he says, judge not lest ye be judged. He is saying that what you are not supposed to judge is whether somebody is turned in the direction of God. Now, obviously, if someone is committing a crime, that's different. If somebody's hurting other people and hurting themselves, that's different. But in this case, I do not see how, without committing the act or wanting to commit the act, I can know what that is. And I don't know why I should. I don't know why I should bother. I don't understand why my purpose here is not just to love my neighbor and love God. So that's where I stand on this. In terms of the law, okay, when you talk about something being permissible, the question is who permits? Who is going to permit it? And then you have the question of whether you want the police to be able to arrest somebody for being a homosexual. And no, I do not. I do not want that to happen. That could happen when I was young. I do not think it was a good thing. I do not think the lives of artists and thinkers and, all the things that gay people contribute to the society, workers and everybody else, I do not think that they should be hounded by the law for having homosexual relationships. So if you're talking about something being permissible, that's what permissible means, and I do not want that. It is true. I don't think the government should have that power to govern our sex life, anybody's sex life. And, you know, with marriage, my whole problem with marriage is I feel that the marriage that we're trying to protect, which is the marriage as defined by the church, ended. That marriage as an institution ended when we allowed no-fault divorce. And I think the minute you have no-fault divorce, that marriage as a sacrament was over. Jesus was very clear about this. That marriage was a sacrament is over. And it just seems small to then say, oh, yeah, we ruined this thing. We're only pretending it's still a sacrament, but gay people can't come in because then we won't be able to pretend anymore. That just seems hypocritical to me. So that is my problem there. But in terms of the law, then you have to say, well, if the law it cannot stop people from having gay sex, why can't it stop them from having other kinds of sex? Now, I would argue, actually, I am actually against polygamy. And, you know, polygamy is legal in many countries. I actually believe it is bad for society, bad for women, bad for the culture, bad that it is within the purview of the state to prevent. It actually is that bad. It actually deprives women of their rights. How you police it, I don't know, since if you don't marry someone, you can live with as many people as you want. And so it's not something that's like going to worry me very much, but I do think it actually is a bad thing for the state for people to be polygamous. And I think it's so bad that you can actually do something about it. I feel the same way about sex between a parent and child. I think that is damaging no matter how it happens, and the state, it does have an interest in keeping people from damaging one another. The state has a legitimate interest in keeping you from damaging me and keeping me from damaging you. So again, there's something there. The one place where I'm not sure you can make a case is with sibling incest where there are no children, because sibling incest obviously is not that good for children. But where there are no children, could you not make a case? I would do it anyway, probably, because the tradition is so strong, so powerful, that I suspect that if we tear down, I don't want to tear down that fence before I know what's on the other side. It does seem like an abuse. It seems deeply, organically unnatural. It seems harmful to both people. It seems harmful to both parties. But my argument is weak there. I totally admit it. I just think you have to go with the fact that this is something that really resonates as something bad. But other than that, I think if I had to outlaw one thing, if I had to outlaw one sexual act, if I thought like there was one sexual act that I could outlaw, it would be adultery. Before I would outlaw gay sex, certainly, I would outlaw adultery, because I think adultery leaves more people damaged than any other sexual act there is. But I wouldn't outlaw that either.